First name's Donnie, last name's Glover. In it to win it for the long haul, baby. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Welcome to the New Life Recovery Show, where if I think better, I do better. Hope you had a good weekend. Hope you kept it simple. I had a wonderful weekend, actually. Even got recognized with an MVP award. And here to talk about that particular program is none other than Patti Smith. Patti, what is your middle name?
Well, if I'm honest with you, my name is Patricia Ardell Marie Antoinette Johnson Smith.
Patricia Ardell Marie Antoinette Smith.
Yes.
Where's the W come from?
W is Wells. So when I took all of the middle names out, I added Patricia Wells Smith, and that's who I am. That's my new government name.
Your new government name. I thought that was issued by the government. Now you
know
what?
Once I signed those papers to switch it over to Patricia Wells Smith, now I'm set.
And where are you from?
I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, by way of Calvert County, Maryland, Prince Frederick. That's where my family originated. So
you were born in Prince Frederick?
I was born in Baltimore, Maryland. My parents were both born in Prince Frederick, Maryland, and then we moved here to Baltimore.
But you were born here?
Yes.
What hospital?
Johns Hopkins.
So you're a local?
I am a local.
Because you say Baltimore. Usually when people say Baltimore, that means they're not from here.
People talk about my English.
Eclectic accent.
I am a little proper.
Oh, okay. And what high school did you attend?
Northwestern High School. Class of 73. God. That's why I knew Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson and I went to school. Mike told everybody that he was my older brother, even though I'm older than him, and it stayed all these years.
You said the class of 73?
And I'm there for the brother. Sorry?
You said the class of 73?
Class of 73.
Lady, you could have told me you was 40 years old. I wouldn't have guessed that at all.
Oh, you're very, very kind. I appreciate it.
So who is Mike Johnson and what's his role in the community? You were the coordinator of Black Men Unifying Black Men.
Actually, I was not. When Michael called me and said, Patti, I need your help, I was there to help him. So I did not coordinate her. So let's go back. Michael is the co-founder of that whole event. That event's been going on for the past 4 years. When I went there on Saturday to help bring people in and sign them in and to go to their tables, I was at awe as I met all the men that were coming in, including you, because you were also being celebrated. It was my first time attending that event, and the sponsor was Bob Wallace. So I could talk about him because here's a man who had a plan. He had a method of what he wanted to do. He had goals. Bob Wallace, an international entrepreneur, an author, a man who works for education and youth, said, I'm going to sponsor this event, Mike, and help bring these men in so that they can become recognized. Because Bob Wallace had that plan throughout all of his adversities, throughout his poverty, throughout being told no, what he couldn't do.
And that's the first time. That's the first time I've heard poverty mentioned in the same sentence with Bob Wallace. Now, I did hear Cherry Hill. Please share.
Well, when I say that, he wrote about himself and how he had struggles. So he wasn't always that rich man. You know, he struggled with his family and he talked about those things. And once I heard that about his poverty and his struggling through school and trying to make it out there, I was impressed because he went through the adversity and stayed on a path, and look where he is now, giving back to the community. And that is what he does. I have never seen him outside the community where he wasn't doing something for somebody else. That's the type of man he is. He ran for mayor twice. And each time when he ran, I would always go to a rally. He came to Sankofa's Children's Museum of African Culture, had an education summit there. And I learned so much about the man and who he is. So he sponsored that event on Saturday because he wants to give back. For him, it's like putting Black men together so that they can have a perspective and move and do something good. So I was really at all.
Now, this may sound like a lame question, but why is it important to celebrate Black men from your perspective? And that's really the crux of what I want to speak with you about today.
Okay.
This is the mental health show. And as you, well, let me just stop there. What to you, why is it important?
Because as a Black man, that's your number one stipend piece right there. You're Black. You're trying to create a business. You're trying to grow a family. You're trying to live your life here in the United States of America. And it's not always easy for us. So when you see a group of Black men together like that, I go back to Marcus Garvey, who always had the best quotes, because he says, liberate the minds of men and you can liberate the bodies of men. Because when you, as a Black man, if you have someone else talking and sharing and trying to advocate for you or showing you that you can do things a different way, it helps you as a Black man have that perspective to say, okay, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep helping my people. So in that room on Saturday, it was important for me to see Black men helping other Black men. They just weren't, they just didn't have a business where they stayed to themselves. They wanted to share and give that information to somebody else so they can move forward and build. Look at you. Use yourself as an example. Where'd you start? What made you start this podcast? What made you do all the things that you wanted to do in life? And tell me, I'm sure you had struggles as a Black man trying to get to the level that you are today. So that event Saturday, I was really touched. That was my first time being in a room with men of different, I shouldn't say classes, men of all levels, because you had educators in that room, you had visionaries, you had connectors of partnerships, you had political people there. But in that room, they were all together working for one common cause. And that was just to advocate for the community and to each one teach one. That's how I looked at it. I'm telling you, I was moved the entire time.
You've never been in an event like that?
No, not at all. That was my very first time. And they've done this event 4 times. And I've never, as Michael said, she's out of the country. She's gone somewhere. She's doing this because my schedule gets booked up too. And I'm doing different things. But this time when Michael called me, I said, oh no, I'm going to stop everything and I'm going to be there for him Saturday.
But Patti, I've seen your pictures. You've been halfway around the world.
Somewhere around there. I like traveling because as a Black woman, and I've been traveling for a long time, you learn another perspective of life.
But in your travels, you haven't seen events like that? I thought they would be the norm.
No. Because remember, in terms of history, we've always had to fight to put our history out there. And because I'm the outreach director at Sankofa, Children's Museum of African Cultures. We try to teach children that African history did not start with slavery. And because of that, there's so much to talk about when it comes to Black people, African Americans, Africans. There's so much about us.
Where is this museum, Patti?
The museum is located 4330 Pimlico Road, and I'm sure you pass it. It's Pimlico Road in Cold Spring. And it teaches you 365 days a year African history. You're going to learn everything about the continent. And it's not just for children, it's for adults too. Because people at a certain age, and I'm talking about myself, when you went to school, you did not learn, or you learned about slavery. That's what you learned about. And you learned about it in February. So this museum, one of its kind in the United States, it's very hands-on, interactive. So the students come in there and they're drumming, they're learning dances, they're learning the resources of Africa. It's a great place to come in and learn about home. So I'm going to go back to the traveling piece, because when Black people travel, you're learning other people's cultures. So when I travel, I like to see where the Black people live. I want to see what they learned and what their history is. And the sad part about that is you can learn more about Black history and African history in other places more than the United States, because our history has always been whitewashed. Period.
So where have you been in Africa?
I have not been in Africa. That's on my list. But, you don't have to go to Africa to learn about Black people, because Black people in their travel to the Americas were stopping all across the ocean. When you go to Rome, you see the African influences in Rome all throughout Italy. You go to an island like Curacao, and somebody mentioned Curacao at that event on Saturday. Curacao is an island. It's part of the ABC Islands. So you have Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. Curacao has one of the largest transatlantic African museums in the world. It takes 2 to 3 hours to go through. The first time I went through it, I cried like a baby. I had to leave. So then I went back the next day to finish. I still was crying, and some little kids, because part of their school curriculum is to be in that museum. I kept crying. Some little boys with some drums were in there with their class, and they asked the teacher, can we play for that lady? Because she's just crying. We're going to make her happy. They played for me, and then I got into a long conversation about African history with that class, because they're over there learning like that. But they don't teach it like that here in the United States. So again, going back to Saturday, being in that room with those brothers in there and listening to their experiences and watching them network too, because that was the place where they could, pass ideas and say, brother, give me your card. I'm going to try to work with your organization. It was really great. It was great.
Did you found the Sankofa Museum?
I did not. So the Sankofa Museum is founded by Esther Armstrong, lovingly known as Mama Kiki. She's from Ghana. So she had a goal. Or she had a dream, I put it that way. First, she had a store on Charles Street down near the Safeway in Baltimore. And that store sold everything from Africa. She left the store, moved the store up to where the museum is, and then took over that entire space. So when you visit the museum, you have a huge space. People rent it out all the time for different activities and parties and things like that. But we give programs in the museum, and then we have schools come to the museum to do tours, to talk. And at the end of that museum, there's a gift shop, just like you would be at the BMA someplace. It's always a gift shop. And that gift shop is full of everything African. And people come from everywhere to go to that store.
Now, this is 1 block off of Park Heights?
Yeah. Yes,
1 block over?
Yes.
Now, I know of a church on that corner.
Yes, the church is across the street from the museum.
So how old is the museum?
The museum has been there since 2016, and then it shut down 2020 because of COVID, and it didn't reopen again until last year. COVID really slowed it up.
So that museum is in the 41st district, presumably.
Yes, I want to say that is
Jill Carter's district.
No, it's Middleton's.
That's her city council district, but the state legislative district, if I'm not mistaken, that would be the 41st.
Okay, so that would be Jill Carter. Is that Jill Carter?
She would be the state senator, if I'm not mistaken. And so then I would have to encourage You an executive director of the museum?
No, I am the outreach director and
Okay,
strategy for the
I want you to outreach to Jill Carter now, because the Maryland General Assembly is coming up in 2 months.
That's good
And
to know.
just as the state has bond bills and other forms of financing for the Baltimore Museum of Art and the what's the other one?
Baltimore
Maryland,
Museum.
the BMA and the Walters.
The Walters, yes.
Those white museums get millions and millions of dollars.
Millions.
Now listen to me, Patty. We have a black governor. We have a black attorney general. We have a black treasurer of the state of Maryland. We have a black speaker of the House of the state of Maryland. This city has a black mayor, a black city council president, a black comptroller, a black state's attorney. We've got a majority black city council, and we have the largest black caucus of state legislators probably in the nation. There's no reason why such an all-significant museum isn't dripping in money, just like those white museums.
I love what you just said, and you're absolutely right.
You're
I'm
damn
going to tell you, here in Baltimore City, Brandon Scott has been wonderful with us. He helps get us money. We get money through grants. Congressman Nfume has been through and helped us. The Park Heights Renaissance Committee, they have done.
Tracy Jiggets.
Yes, Miss Jiggets is huge fan. She's in there all the time. I'm trying to think of, but Wes Moore, I was able to get into his ear this year. And what stopped him from doing some things with us was the Key Bridge incident, because we had just connected during that time.
Okay.
He's been sending his representatives over to us. And
you have a nonprofit status?
Yes, we are a nonprofit. Yes.
There's money, and I need to introduce you to some other people. There's so much money out here.
We would love it. And you have to come to the museum. You have to come. Michael's been there several times. Bob Wallace has been there. Different organizations use the museum for their business meetings, but you have to come see it as well. You have an open invitation now. Yes.
So let's get back to the significance of events like this one that celebrated Black men. You say that you don't. What did Congressman Kwesi Mfume share with the audience?
Okay, he talked about the different perspectives in the room and the importance of the perspective in the room, because he felt like, well, he talked about knowing Michael, because he's known Michael for a long time as well, and he would do anything to support Michael. But for him, watching and seeing and hearing all of the men in the room, everyone with a different perspective, but everyone with that common goal of advocating for community. And he talked about the importance of standing together and being unified like that. And also the importance to be recognized, because these men do hard work. You do hard work. And sometimes it's like, I'm doing all of this. Does somebody hear me? And it's not like you're doing it because you need that pat on the back, but it's good to know that you are being heard, that you are making a difference, because the men in that room made a difference. They made a difference in so many ways. So, that's what
I know you have a granddaughter. Do you have any sons or grandsons?
I have one grandson that's attending University at Eastern Shore. I have a granddaughter that's studying in Japan. This is her second year in college there. And my other three, one's in middle school. Yeah, two are in middle school, and one is at City College. I love the grandchildren. I love educating them. I love showing them about travel and getting them inspired. The one that goes to City, the granddaughter that goes to City, works at the museum, and she says it's so much fun for her. She works in that store, but she meets people, but she's learning history. And it's one thing. It's like a young girl being in a barbershop. So she's in here, and all these people are coming from everywhere to purchase goods. And then she's listening to things and learning about African art and history. And those are things that she'll carry with her forever. Really. And then that's important. So some of those men in the room had organizations where they work with youth. Some of the youth may be troubled, but it's just the fact that somebody is listening to them. It's a play. It was a young man, and I don't know his name. It was so many people there, but he had like a rec center where the kids come to the center after school and weekends. This is Baltimore City. These kids might not have any place to go.
Wasn't Aaron Mabin, was it?
I'm not sure. It was too many names. I can't keep up with all those names. But the fact that there's a community center, and there are a few in the city, but kids need somewhere to go. Everybody talks about the youth crime, but the kids need somewhere to go.
They closed the damn recreation centers, Patti.
Who did that?
We don't have one here in Sandtown. The recreation center saved our lives growing up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
did
when
you
I'm thinking
of rec growing up,
I did. And my rec was Mary E. Rodman. It was just a small center. But Torrey Smith, the NFL football player, just rebuilt that entire center. So that's an area for the kids on the west side to go to. So I would go to Mary E. Rodman, and then I'd go to what's the swim center that they're recognizing this year? And you could go there and swim. I used to catch a bus twice a week and go swim. Chick Webb. I used to go to the Chick Webb centers or the YMCA. My parents always had me doing something at the Y. But
the Druid Hill Y?
The Druid Hill Y. Yeah. So, but all kids don't have that opportunity now. Single parents can't afford the programs because all this stuff isn't free, so they need recreation centers. So for us at Sankofa, when we get grant money, we create a program for kids to come to that's free. So the parents can bring them there for drumming. They can bring them there for dancing or storytelling or painting. We try to have, and we have a big children's festival at the end of the year. We have a big Kwanzaa festival, which is free for everybody. We ask people to bring $5 for a family. That family could be 40 people. We ask for $5 donation. And those kids can come and see a full program of Kwanzaa and learn what it's about and what it means. They eat, they play games, they do art. But yeah. The city has to continue to work together. So that program on Saturday, the men were working together and saying, how can I work with your organization to filter kids to me? And then I can filter kids to you. I mean, it was very empowering for me. And I kept saying to Michael, and he was laughing, I kept saying, wait a minute, where the women at? Because all Black men
we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that.
I had to bring the women up. It's always a woman in the background.
I did not forget you. We're going to get to that part. But we're only 25 minutes in. Just slow down, Patti. So Patti, when you think about your grandson, what's your biggest concern for his future?
Safety, because it's a lot of good kids that are out there, and he could just be attending a football game. In his case, it's track and field because he runs track. So he could be at a track game and somebody decides to start shooting. He could be on a bus riding home and somebody might start shooting. I live in Edno Gardens. Here I go telling my business. I live in Edno Gardens. So Mervo is blocks away. But there's some days when the kids come out of Mervo and they'll come 4 blocks over and they'll fight all in the street. So again, Baltimore City doesn't have enough police officers. Everything was rezoned. So now my district that I live in has the Eastern District police officers, which means our response time is so much slower than what it usually is. But we're not a high crime district, so that's why they did it that way. But when those kids get out of school and stop fighting like that, stabbing, I think they've had one shooting there. They had one last year, but it's awful. So I always worry about the safety of my grandson, but everybody else's child. Because if I'm out walking my dog and I see somebody, some kids jumping some kids, now I should be afraid and say I could walk over there and they might attack me. Maybe I need to sick my dog on them or something to break it up. But I would hope that somebody would help my child. So I'm always concerned about the safety of the kids.
Okay,
And
now
a
walk
lot
with
of
me,
that
Patti.
is, huh?
Listen to me. Tomorrow is election day.
It is.
Black people vote majority Democrat. Voter education is something that's important to your average Black leader. We want our people to vote. Our ancestors struggled, died, sacrificed for us to have the right to vote.
Yes.
Is voting enough?
You would hope that it is in the America the way it was written to work, but it's not. People don't want to get involved. I think a lot of times people are afraid to get involved, but for this particular election, people are anxious. People are so anxious, like, okay, I need this to be over. I need, Kamala to be here. And then I fear for Kamala's life because people are going to hurt her that are Trump supporters. It's different. It's very different. I voted on the first day. I've been wearing Kamala shirts for the last couple of weeks. Anything I would do anything. I got signs on my lawn. But sometimes you're even afraid to do that because people will come up and snatch your stuff off the lawn. It's sad when the world has become so divided when it comes to politics. You can't even talk about politics out in the open. I don't have a problem with it myself because I'm for everybody, but the disrespect and the hate is a concern. When I was a young girl in school, I saw segregation. My mother worked for the Sun paper. She had to go in a black entrance. I used to see the black colored water fountains, things like that. And just like you said, our ancestors fought, stood in lines and protested.
So look, Patti. When the Baltimore Banner came about,
Mm-hmm.
the Sun paper issued an apology to the Black community. It took another newspaper coming in, and by the way, the man who owned the Baltimore Banner hired a slew of reporters from the Baltimore Sun to work for him because he wanted to buy the Baltimore Sun.
Mm-hmm.
But as the Banner started coming on the scene, that's when the Baltimore Sun issued an apology. And I'm mentioning all of this, I'm going somewhere. We vote. In Maryland, 2-1 Democrat. In Baltimore, 9-1 Democrat. You say that we are slow to get involved. I ask you, is voting enough? Hell no, it's not enough.
No.
We have to get Congressman Mfume's cell number. We have to get Senator Jill P. Carter's cell number. We have to get Councilwoman Middleton's cell number. We have to donate to Congressman Mfume's fundraiser. We have to donate to Senator Carter's, Jill P. Carter's fundraiser. We have to donate money to Councilwoman Middleton's fundraiser. We have to volunteer for Congressman Mfume's door knocking. We have to volunteer for Senator Carter's door knocking and Councilwoman. We have to do more than just vote. We have gotten lazy since the civil rights movement. This is a whole 50, 60 years of us moving out the Liberty Road corridor and thinking the fight is over.
Right. No, you're
It
right.
never
brother.
stopped.
Never
It
stop.
never stopped. But we got comfortable
Mhm.
because now we can have a lawn and a white picket fence. Instead of seeing triggers, rats, and roaches, we can see bunny rabbits, deer, and foxes. So we've arrived.
But you're right. Just because you said the way you said that, we haven't arrived, and we will always continue to have issues as Black people, because we could have all the money in the world doesn't mean that you're accepted. When Black people got money and moving to the Hamptons, just because you moved to those Hamptons, nobody was happy that you moved out there. It doesn't
But we
matter how much
forgot.
money you make.
We think
We think
the
that way.
fight is over, and we want to be accepted by some people who don't want us.
And you know what an example of that is? And in my travels, a lot of times I'll travel to places and I might be the only only Black person. And white people will come and talk to me, but that question always comes up. What do you do? And I get so insulted by that, because I didn't ask you, what do you do? I don't need to know what you do just because you are here. I'm telling you, that's a question that I get with white people. They'll want to know, what do you do?
I mind my damn business.
Yes. But that is it. Being the
But-
only
but-
Black woman in the room, and then being stigmatized as an angry Black woman, because
Ain't
if
nobody
you are,
angry.
if you're articulate and you have an opinion and you can have a conversation in that boardroom, and you may not agree with everybody else, then they look at you sometimes like, oh,
You know, the only damn one who's angry.
Yeah.
And I won't even say they're angry. And I'm not talking about all white people. We're talking about
some
the white people who operate out of fear of retribution, and the white people who have the mindset of scarcity. The mindset of scarcity says to these small-minded, pea-brain people that there are not enough resources for everybody. So therefore, I have to grab up everything that's available so that my people will be all right. That's a small-minded individual. And then they have the audacity, and I'm not talking about all white people, I'm talking about those small-minded people.
Yes.
To talk about God. Like Pat Robinson and his goofy son. Because whatever God they serve, I don't know that God.
God is for all of us. So let's go.
No, not for them. God is only small-minded, pea-brain, white male Republican. And I tell you what, it's a bunch of white women who ain't voting for Trump because he's a vulgar, crass, disrespectful piece of trash.
Oh, you said
and
it.
My mother would have whooped his ass.
You said it. And it is very sad. I saw a poll this morning on CBS that said the record in voting is that Republicans vote more than Democrats. And that gives
they got to, because it's fewer.
Yeah, that's what they said. They'll vote more than Democrats. But like I said earlier, people are anxious about this election. I'm going to a watch party tomorrow to watch it and just watch.
They're threatening Black women in Georgia. You know, the only one who threatens a woman is a coward. The same cowards who would team up late night and jump on horses and put hoods on their heads to hide their faces to terrorize. See, they are the first terrorists. And that's why this media outlet is so important.
It is.
So that we can talk about ourselves in a positive way and lift up our own self-esteem. Because if we listen to America, if we listen to American media, we probably, hell, jump into the Atlantic Ocean.
It's sad. It's sad. We have not come a long way. I feel like we've gone backwards in the past 4 years.
Trump
And
is
it's
on TV talking about people's sexual organs, and I don't know if you saw the latest, but he did some sexually explicit, vulgar act over the weekend.
Mm.
Who wants their son? What decent white woman wants her son to grow up and act like Trump?
And act like that. It's all well, if a black man or if Obama had said some of the things
They'd
that
have
Trump
locked him
said,
up.
he would have been in jail. He would have been, they would have kicked
And
him
he's
away
a
from
felon.
presidency. He's a felon.
He's 34 counts indicted.
Yes. It's
He's
awful.
running for president.
But that shows you in America how
White
things
privilege.
are so one-sided. How he can do that and get away with that. And he said it himself. I could shoot a man on the street. Nobody's going to bother me. It's the truth. And it's a sad truth. And that's
It's not true. It's not true. You know who will bother him?
Who?
God.
Oh yeah, the karma comes back. The karma will come back in many ways.
Tell him go out there and do it. Because he already got karma. You ready to bust him upside the back of his head. Tell him go out there and do it.
But that's why it's important for us to have events like the event that Mike Eugene Johnson had to celebrate the excellence that we do have, the excellence of Black men here in Baltimore City who are fighting to educate not just young Black boys, but women too, young girls too. They need that assistance. So Saturday, knowing what was coming on Tuesday, it was important for all of us to get together to remind each other to go out there and vote if you didn't do early voting, but to get together and know that as Black people, we can work together. We can resolve issues in the city.
Of
but
course
we have
we
to
can work together.
Yes,
and
but
you
we
know,
have to
nothing is more sickening to me than when I hear people say, Black people say, we don't stick together. Shut up. Your mother said, if you don't have something good to say, don't say nothing. Of course, Black people stick together. Look at our history. You can't
we had no other choice. But this is one of my issues that I have with us. We want us to support us. So Black people have businesses out there. They have stores. They do things. Don't walk in a Black establishment and because the person is Black, ask for a discount. That's a pet peeve of mine because you're not going to walk in Macy's and say, am I going to get a discount, brother? Because somebody in Macy's was Black. Black people do that. I see it time and time again. And I'm like,
Black people.
Why do we do that? Some Black people do that. But, it's a growth period. And I feel that sometimes the younger generation needs to become more involved. They need to learn more about the history so that they can move forward. That's part of that Sankofa bird here. I go back with Sankofa's museum. The Sankofa bird says, the head's going to be turned sideways because it's looking back, but the feet are always moving forward. Yes, feet are moving forward. And that's what we have to do as a people. Continue to move forward, continue to fight for what we believe in, continue to build a community where you live so that everybody can be comfortable and learn. Each one teach one. Sit down and talk to kids at the table sometimes and have them put away the cell phones. You put away your cell phone. I talk about that too. People get in a room for an event and the phone is down in their lap. You're looking down. Talk to each other. Instead of using the phone and texting, call up somebody. That's what we have to do. Because back in those days when our ancestors were fighting, they had no cell phones. They was knocking on doors and running. Let me go tell cousin so-and-so that this is happening because we gonna stop this. I mean, we have to communicate. Socially, we have to do more.
Did you attend a college, Patti?
Yes, I did. I went to University of Maryland College Park first. And when I was at College Park, we created that Black Student Union because it wasn't always safe for Black students to walk across campus. So it was like assimilating into this white world. This is when I saw white girls in the bathrooms talking about, why are you picking up that trash? Let the maid do it. You know, the maintenance people, they're Black women. See, I learned to pick up after myself. So, you know, you learn a
Because you
lot
had
of
home training. You had good home training.
Yes, but my parents took me out of College Park and made me come to Morgan because they said I was partying down there. It wasn't like I was partying, but they felt my grades could have been better. When I came back to Morgan, that was home. That was home for me. And I studied
Were your
speech
grades better?
Pardon?
Were your grades better?
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. But when I got to Morgan, I felt like I was so prepared. And one of my classes, there were people who couldn't read well. And I was like, how'd they get here? They're not even reading well. And my professor was Dr. Lucia Hawthorne. She taught speech. And that woman like drilled me like a sergeant in terms of public speaking and journalism. And because of her, Kwesi Mfume at that time was the program director for WEAA. And he had me come there and I did an hour's worth of news. I had my own talk show, and that started me on a path of
what was the name of your show?
Motivating Forces. Motivating Forces. I got an award for that. And I talked about public issues, and I always connected it to the school. You know, I was a college student. And then when I left Morgan, I did radio at WWIN before it turned into 95.9. And I was the first woman to do news and commercials over there because the only woman they had at the station was Mary C. that did gospel.
Mary Claiborne.
Mary Claiborne, that's correct. And so I was on the air with Curtis Anderson, Harold Pompey, Lee Cross, Eric Henson.
Lee Cross was my favorite. When I was at Radio 1, he got me sponsorship to keep me on the air.
Oh, see? Yeah.
I love me some Lee Cross.
Yeah, so Lee Cross is my man. We have our WWIN reunions and we all get together and talk. And then when I left there, I went to white radio and I was the only Black person there, B104, Baltimore station, Baltimore's best. And I won Baltimore's, you remember that station? I won a Baltimore's Best Award. Now on that station, people couldn't tell if I was white or Black at first, you know, until I would bring up Black issues and talk about things. But it was Donald Schaefer and Joseph Bishop who was in charge of the city police force. I think his name is on the building. He gave me an award because I had a program. Yes, Bishop Robinson, that's his name. He gave me an award for connecting the citizens with the police department. I did a show every week and I'd have a different section of the police department come in and talk to community leaders.
You want a show on our network? We can get you a show, no charge.
People have been asking me that, but I was trying to decide what I wanted to talk about. I guess I
oh my God, you seem like you have a litany of things to talk about, Patti.
Yeah, people talk about me talking. Turn me loose, and I can go. So, yeah.
So look, I was going somewhere with this education thing. Did you ever pledge a sorority?
No, Patti Phi Patti.
So you one of them independent-minded Virgos. Okay,
yeah.
Look here, Patti. You made a comment, and I'm gonna let you go for it. You made the comment to Michael Johnson, where is the Black Women Unifying Black Women event?
Yes. And I think he should consider that because they're women and women sometimes sit quietly in the background.
Oh, come on. The Black women are taking over the world right now. Stop playing. Come on, Patti. See,
yeah, because we're strong.
Patti,
because
Black women befriend Black women better than Black men befriend Black men. You know that. Y'all are much more organized, much more sophisticated. You got girls' night out, girls' trips to Dubai and Curacao. Come on now. Are you really going to get me to believe that Black women don't support each other? I mean, come on.
No. Oh, no, I never said that because I know I have a strong group of Black women behind me and I support Black women doing other things as well. So I would never, ever say that. But women can be quiet sometimes, quietly working. We can be quiet. No, let me finish it. Women can be quietly working. We're quietly working for our man. We're sitting there. Mike's fiance was sitting at that table with me on Saturday, and both of us were scheming. We were saying, oh my God, they didn't put numbers on the tables. Oh, we need to help him organize and do this the next time. So we're scheming to help that Black man. So we're there. We're there. With the mothers that were single mothers that are taking care of their children, taking care of their man, taking care of their business. Oh yeah, we strong and we out there. They need to be recognized too. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Patti, I will help you, but I'm telling you, I think Black women are celebrated more than Black men. Because think about it. Black men, you know what our number one issue is in Black America? If you ask me from a social standpoint, prison.
Yes.
We're the minority. We are 13% of the American population, but Black men alone are 38% of the people in prison. Black women are the fastest growing demographic. Too many of us are adjudicated.
But what you're saying is correct. And as Black women, that was another reason that we became strong and we started fighting, because our men were in prison. One of the first stories I did for WEAA, I went to a prison. And I went to that prison because of literacy. The Black men that were in prison that were learning to read, they were just starting programs at that time. So I've always been a person that was interested in fighting for our Black men in prison, because a lot of times they're in there from mediocre crimes. I mean, Marilyn Mosby was a person that used to fight against that when she was state's attorney. But it's a lot that women do. And sometimes there are people, you see us out there fighting, but there's some Black women out there that you might not remember their name, that are standing out there that have done things for the city.
I know this. I celebrate sisters all the time.
Yes. Do you have siblings? Do you have siblings?
Yes.
Sisters?
My sister got her wings. She's gone now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that. But I always like to hear men talk about their sisters and how they look at them, their strength, and what they might have learned from that sister.
My mother would be 95. So my sister would be roughly 78 or so.
Okay.
But she was, and I'm 59. So my sister was she helped me to stay hip. Because if not, my mother would have kept me in them Sears and Roebuck plaid pants. And I was trying to stretch out a little bit. But my sister, more than anything, we could have conversations about life.
Yes.
And a man needs that. You need your sister's perspective.
Yes.
Yes. And she threatened me a couple of times, but I wasn't scared of her. But she did threaten me. I think she spanked me once because she was a little older, but as soon as I got a chance to hold my own, she was the best. I think of her all the time.
But see, that's what I'm saying. That was that quiet fire. That was that quiet fire. So just like these men with quiet fire were celebrated on Saturday, there are women out there again with that quiet fire that are silent, but they're doing big things. And a lot of times those are the ones that aren't screaming and saying, I don't have no money, help me with the grants. They're quietly just marching. So those women,
let me say this.
Celebrate.
On that note, our men have to do better. And I'm talking about our relationships, men and women, Black men, Black women. I'm running across too many Black women with stories about some sorry ass Black men who make babies and them and the women don't work out. And so the dude just rolls out and don't want to help her. I don't get that. Okay, things ain't work out, but you made a baby. I was doing a live broadcast and I said, don't make no babies. you're not going to raise. And a black man in this city actually says some dumb sugar honey iced tea, said, I got to push back on that. There's nothing to push back on. Yeah. There's nothing to push back on. You make the baby, raise the baby. You shouldn't need nobody downtown to tell you to take care of your kid. They give black men a bad name.
Yeah.
Sometimes things don't work out. Okay. But that's your baby.
That's your baby. So what you hit on was things that occur in a family, because some of these black men, they have the baby, they don't know what to do with the babies because their fathers never showed them nothing. And people say that all the time, and they're like, oh, well, that's an excuse. No, it isn't. In terms of sociology and family origins, if that kid doesn't have a family that shows him, he don't know what to do with that kid. My youngest son had a baby his third year of college. He was so afraid to tell me because he knew how important education was for me and how I felt about it with him. And he says, Ma, I've got to take care of this baby. He was just so concerned that the girl that was having the baby would lose her scholarship and lose her money. He's like, Ma, I need to stop school and take the baby and keep that baby for her so she can finish, and then I can go back. We had a big family discussion because what he was saying was just very noble. And all of that was from his family raising and what his family taught him about taking and managing your responsibility. When kids have that type of nurturing in a family, they know what to do in that situation. But if they don't, they're lost. And they're already lost because they're not using protection. So, it starts there with the fact of not using protection. And there's so many young people that feel that the protection is not important. And, I'm not going to have a good sexual experience. You better think about it, brother. There's some diseases out there that I can't even pronounce. You better think about yourself. But it's the truth. If they don't have the family nurturing or someone to show them and tell them how to respect, and that goes for the women too, because if they have no respect for themselves, they can also create that situation with the babies and with those men. So it all boils down to a conversation.
Patti, have you seen social media lately? You don't need a Hustler magazine or Playboy magazine. Women just show you everything nowadays. You don't need, you just cut on any social media. What in the hell has happened to the sisters?
No,
I mean, these are grandmothers. Hey, Patti, grandmothers butt naked, twerking on social media for 5 and 6 likes.
That's a whole nother hour conversation. Because I'm telling you, that's a whole nother, because we can also mention the ex-president, what's her name? Melania Trump. Her naked body's all over the internet. Her naked body is all over the internet because she was a call girl. Something like that. So social media has opened up a world, anything's out there, not to mention AI. So you have girls that might not have taken their clothes off, but if a guy gets that picture, her face and her body, they can take all her clothes off and spread that out all over the dark web. That has been an issue too. Parents fighting to get their girls' naked bodies off the dark web, but it's an AI picture. I'm telling you, that's another whole topic right there. It's so much out there for people. But as a parent, grandparent, auntie, uncle, it's having conversations with young people and giving them differences. They can learn. My grandkids and their friends, they all talk about me because I talk straight up truth and say, this is what it is. When I look at you, I used to do it when my sons were dating. The girls would come in here dressed a certain way. And I'd be like, did your mother know you came out like that? Where your clothes at? Where your clothes? And one girl actually told my son, she kept telling him, I want you to take your condom off. He should have never told me that. I hated that girl. I don't even want her to come back over here because I knew what she told you to do. Don't you take that condom off. It's a conversation. And if you can have an open conversation with your children where they can talk to you about everything and they don't feel judged about it, then that's that open conversation to help those kids build a better life, not just for them, but for the world. It's that younger generation. They're going to be taking care of us. They're going to be ruling the world one day. We got to show them the right way, help them understand.
Yeah, you don't need nobody to take care of you. I already see that.
No, yeah, I do. And strong women do. Because when people see a person and they say, oh, that person's so strong, that person needs somebody too. Even if it's just to say, sit your ass down, get some rest today. Stop running around in the street. Just because I like going out and meeting people and learning about things and teaching somebody else what I learned. I love that. And that's how I started at Sankofa's museum. I went to the damn store to do shopping, met the owner, and then I said to her, what can I do to help you? How can I help you with this museum? And I never left. That's how I started working.
Where'd you get that service component from? Who taught you service?
I think my parents did. And it's always been in my heart. I had an older sister. She's also passed. She was also a servant person as well. Everybody. Yeah, I think that's what it was.
They say service is the rent we pay for living.
Okay. Well,
one of my heroes is Harriet Tubman.
She is my hero. She's my favorite. I couldn't wait for that Harriet Tubman Center to open. I'm telling you, I couldn't wait for that center to open. I made my entire family go. Kids, sons, everybody. We took a trip. We had 2 trucks, and we spent 2 days down in Harriet Tubman land so we could learn about it. And we owe that to Michelle and Barack. They paid for 480 acres to stay the way it was when Harriet was there.
Now, I'll tell you what I didn't like. They got a mural down there on the Eastern Shore done by a white person.
Yeah, that happens. Like, what was that about? Yes, they had to share the wealth. That happens.
No, we don't.
He said, no, we don't. Yeah.
I don't know about anybody out there, but you've been therapeutic for my brain today. So any final thoughts, Patti? How can people get in touch with you?
People can get in touch with me through the museum, Sankofa Children's Museum of African Cultures, and that's sankofakids.org, sankofakids.org, or Patti, Patti, at Sankofa Kids. I appreciate you. This was a wonderful show. Love talking to you and sharing insights about the world, the event on Saturday.
And then we find out you've been all on the radio, sankofakids.org.
Yeah, sankofakids.org. That's us. Come visit. Come take a tour.
You've been holding back, Patti. You've been all on. You got a whole damn career on radio, and you never even said it.
I do it. I do shows sometimes with Robert when he's doing master class with some, artists that come through. I'll go in.
Where's your book on your radio career, Patti? And you need to get a show on this network.
I need to write a book. I've had people ask me for that because believe me, I have stories to tell you. You ain't heard nothing. I have a lot that I could talk about and share. So now that I'm in my retired mode, I can do that. Oh yeah, look at you. Oh, you're gonna help me. You're gonna show me what to do.
If I think better, I do better. We've been talking with the one and only Patti W. Smith, her new government name. Have a beautiful afternoon, folks.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.